Hello, my dear friends. Just wanted to throw you off a little bit. So that one in the picture was actually Smigel, my dog, when he was about 3 years old. And actually, it looks like he's attacking that Doberman. But really what was happening, they were just playing, and I happened to take a shot where it looks like he's going to have him for breakfast, right? Okay, I thought that was a good way to start the video. You know, take your mind somewhere else. So, greeting from Maryland. Sicily. I'm dying to go to Sicily. You know, I was in southern Italy a few times, but I don't think I ever went to Sicily. I love Italian food, and Sicilian food probably be like way better. But I'll start traveling this summer, I hope. I haven't traveled for a number of years now. That's crazy. I used to fly 3 or 4 times to Israel every year. You know, they say you don't get old. You don't slow down because you get old, but you get old because you slow down. So I have to stop slowing down here. Hey, Mark. There's another friend from Johannesburg. Maybe you guys can meet. Yeah, I think his name is Clint. I'm sure he's here because he left a comment earlier this morning here on the screen. John. Cambiz. Oh, Manuela. Sojourner House. So, you know, it's crazy. I'm looking forward now to, and don't have any stress anymore. And this is one of those days where I didn't prepare anything. I just sat here the last 15 minutes and I made few points, which I'm going to talk about, and it should be extremely interesting. So, regarding the blaming game, which is the topic that I put there, I will make it quite short. I want to actually you to provide more input, to provide more suggestions. One way it will make my life easy, but we'll also discuss things that you like, right? And I built a new website. So Talk for Life is still out there, but I have a new one called higherstrategy.solutions. I have the link posted in the description here. And on that site, I put, there is one page with all the topics that we can discuss. And I think that you should go there and look at all the topics, and you can pick topics there for what you want to ask for next Sunday, because those are all practical topics from my meetings with clients, with people. And yeah, and there was another idea I had with those topics. Oh yeah, and I also created now this new group. I didn't call it Mastermind because this I'll do later. I called it the Focus Group. And I will show you right now the form that is up there to register for it. Let me just share my screen here for a minute. Yeah, so this is the form. You can see name, email, phone number, your time zone or location, few words about yourself, what topics would you recommend for discussion. And else at the bottom there I have a file upload. So if you have any kind of agenda or something, or pictures or anything you want to upload, you just drop it on that where it says file upload, and that will be this. And here you see in the topics for discussions, like I said, there is 13 of them here for personal, and I also have a business section where there is those are topics for business discussions. So, but if you go in here and look at the topics, you know, it will give you lots of ideas for our group, which I would like you to register for, and that's why I put that form here. So the link for that form is also in the description here. So if you go in there and put your details, we will start meeting hopefully How do the 80% of the religious people in the world say, God willing? Yeah, I will talk about this 80+%. All right, so now that we covered this was from my sponsor. His name is Shlomo. So we can talk about the blaming games. Blaming game. And, I wrote there that when you blame, you basically cannot manifest. And what it is that I find almost in every meeting, almost, not all, but almost in every meeting with clients, is that they always have something that, oh, wait a minute, I have to come back to my screen, sorry. Get rid of this. Okay. You saw my topics there. So they always have, I don't want to say blame, but like a reason why something didn't succeed, why I couldn't manifest, why and why and why and why. And the problem with that, if I say, oh, I couldn't start my business because my uncle, he was very mean to me, and every time I tried to do something, he would not let me, or whatever, right? And I couldn't get married because my mom didn't like my future wife, so I had to separate. And there's always a reason for everything that you can figure out. And the issue is this: as soon as you blame your inability to achieve something on an external factor, what you are really doing, you are giving away your power, basically. You are saying to your subconscious, I am not in control. There is always this, my uncle, my mom, the pendulums. By the way, all the pendulums that reality Transsurfing is talking about, they're all inside you. There's no external pendulums, because you can block them all. So, and because of that, when you try to manifest something, never mind trying to achieve a goal, that's a given that you will always find an excuse, because if you had no excuses, you'd probably be much more consistent and go and get your goal, right? But talking about manifesting, if you subconsciously don't believe that you are in control, how can you manifest? You cannot manifest anything, because you are not in control. It's all those external factors. So I don't want to use it as a slogan, because almost everybody says, take responsibility. But I bring it from a different angle. You have to take responsibility, because otherwise you cannot achieve anything, because you are not in control. Like if you are not sitting at the driver's seat, somebody else is driving, then obviously you will never get to your destination. You will get to the destination of the driver, right? The driver wants to get to. So I wanted to make that point about the blaming game and make sure that you are fully aware of it and don't blame. Always take responsibility. Whatever it is, it's your responsibility. I don't want to say your fault. It's your responsibility. The fault, can happen. Everybody fails, and this is just life, right? It's the uncertainty principle. All right. So here is another thing that I started telling people, and I want you to also kind of think about it, is, we kind of view life as an infinite thing, right? Most people view life as an infinite. You don't get up and say, I have now 22 and a half years left, or anything like that. We just keep going as if it's never expires. And I say, pick an expiration date for yourself. Pick a date that you say, okay, this date I'm going to expire, whether it's 120, whatever you decide. And then you will not be looking at infinity anymore. And it will be much more encouraging to decide what you want to do with that block of time all of a sudden that became a block instead of being infinite. It makes a very, very big difference in how you perceive life, how you plan, how you basically spend your time, or how you want to spend your time in the future. And maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but I think it's a very powerful way of putting some urgency, content, and force you to do something with the time rather than just let it pass, right? Okay. Here's another thing. If you all of a sudden had an open channel to God, what would you ask? What would be your first question if you discovered somehow, that you have actually the ability to talk to God and you get answers? Like, what would be your question? What would be your first question that you would ask? Maybe you can put it here in the comments and we can talk about it. It would be an interesting thing, an interesting way to see what's important for you. Like for me, it's almost like a market research. I want to see what's important to people. So, all right. Another point I wanted to bring up here. Today it's a points day. Just kind of nuggets for your mind, so you can think. It's said, I don't know if it's still valid because now people live religions very many, like in masses. But last time I looked, it said that over 80% of the people in the world belong to one of those Abrahamic religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Right? Majority is Christianity. So that means that at least Christianity and Judaism, it means that they believe in the Bible, right? And they believe in the Old Testament, because the Jews, if you take the Jews and the Christians, what's common, they both believe in the Old Testament. Maybe they interpret that in a different way, but they both believe in it, right? So my question is that Bible real? Is the Old Testament real? Was it actually, or at least the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, was it actually inspired or dictated by God? I don't want to say written by God, but the way it's believed in Judaism, it was dictated to Moses and Moses wrote it, right? So was it actually dictated or inspired by God? And if so, then why isn't God fulfilling the promises that are written in there? I guess most of you don't know what those promises are, but in the Torah there is many statements about past, present, the present being at that time, 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, and the future. And in the future part, which is kind of like a prophecy, you can say, but God says certain things. He comes and he says, okay, this is what happened. This is what will happen if you don't obey me or you don't go by my rules, and this what will happen after when you come back, and all kind of prophecies like that, right? And most of them are fulfilled, especially the negative ones. They're definitely fulfilled. But the positive ones are not fulfilled. And the question is, how long will humans believe in the Bible, or how much time do you give God to fulfill those promises before you say, you know what, the Bible is not real? Okay, I'm not going to get into it. It's just like I want to give you my thoughts because it's very interesting. And that applies to Islam as well, because if you look at the Quran, there is lots of prophecies there, right? Because the Muhammad was a prophet, and there's lots of prophecies there. And I would ask the same question, right? How long are you going to wait for those prophecies to actually come true? All right. So by the way, regarding the machine video, I was supposed to post it on Wednesday. I know I made that promise last week, and it didn't happen for many reasons. One of them being that I came up with some more ideas and topics, and as usual, I always want to add more and more. I don't stop and say, okay, this is it. So hopefully I'll be able to finish it this weekend and post it. But I want to just give you another thought that's in that video. I have many new topics in there. Is like, in the machine, last Sunday when I was talking about machines versus conscious humans, I brought some examples. Like, well, the Matrix is one of them, right? It's the perfect implementation of it. But I brought the different wars in the past, and I was thinking about the whole idea of Jesus and Christianity and the Romans, that if you look at Jesus being a spiritual, conscious human, the Romans would be the machines, right? Because if you look at the Romans, they had this Colosseum where they had the gladiators that would fight each other until one dies, and how they march, just like a machine. So that was also kind of a struggle between machines and a conscious human, but those machines actually incorporated that conscious human into their system and went to rule the world with it. And this is how we arrived today at this 80%. Anyway, just interesting conceptions. Now, regarding the environment, I always try to finish my part of this Sunday with something about the environment. And what I was thinking this time, didn't bring any pictures, I'll just tell you, is that, okay, I will go into another topic and I'll come back because I want to connect the two of them. I think I told you at some point here that the brain likes to close loops, and we get satisfaction when the brain closes a loop. So if I, for example, vacuum the carpet, and the carpet is really clean, I close that loop. I feel satisfaction. So if I have a to-do list, so I will go and click and do all the things that are easy. Why? Because they give me satisfaction. As soon as I put a V or cross it out from my list, my brain feels good, right? Because I close that loop. And this is, by the way, part of the problem with procrastination and not achieving goals, because we go and always start the things we like, right, instead of starting with the things we don't like on the to-do list. And why I went into there talking about the environment is because we do the same thing with the environment, right? We go to the grocery store and we don't take a plastic bag. And we go home with our shopping bag and we feel good because we didn't use that plastic bag. Or we recycle, the milk bottle in the morning and makes us feel good. Wow, that glass or plastic, whatever, is going to go. But just like the to-do list, they are not significant unless you can get the whole world to do it. But you cannot get the whole world to do it when I know people say, oh, you should start with yourself. But that doesn't do the trick, because you cannot reach everybody and say you start with yourself, right? So I think the right way to go about it, if you want to accelerate it and help the environment, is actually try to influence the politicians or anybody who has the power to make a difference in high volume. So, for example, I wrote a letter, or more than one, to my parliament MP, member of parliament, for this area where I live, and I talked about plastic, and I don't know if it's related. Maybe many people wrote to him, but now Canada is going to ban, I think, the importation of single-use plastics. So that will make much more of a difference than if you and I recycle our milk bottle. Or if you write, like I buy stuff at Costco, say, right? and many of the packaging is not recyclable. So I go to the website of that company and I say, listen, if you don't make it recyclable, I will just not buy anymore. I'll not buy your products anymore. And if enough people do that, they will change, because for them it's more expensive to use recyclable packaging. It's probably double the price, just like buying organics cost more, right? So I want you to think about it and act on it, because it's 100 people here going to watch the video today, and now and later, and there is another 1,000 that are going to watch it probably over the next 2 weeks. So if 1,000 people do that, it will affect much more than us recycling the milk bottle. I'm not saying you shouldn't recycle the milk bottle, but you should not let your brain close that loop and say, oh, I have done my part. That's what I mean. Okay? All right. So, you know what? I'll bring that. Let me just see if you have any questions here. And if not, I'll bring that page with the topics and we'll try to talk about them, because they are all very relevant to your lives, our lives. So let's see what we have here. Hi, old dears. Elegant, Naya. I like that. Emu 1999. Hi. I've not seen you here before, I don't think. So welcome. I hope you're enjoying yourself here. Sabrina. Hello, Sabrina. Radrad. Witty Mystic. Hello, Witty Mystic. I'm maybe I did meet you before, but not under that name. So whenever I see a name here, everybody is using kind of a. I guess YouTube is forcing you to use some kind of a name in order to be able to participate. I don't know. This is kind of. That's why I don't have many subscribers, because I think you have to have a channel to be able to subscribe or something like that. Good afternoon, Danielle. Sanela Imomovic, that would be from the Balkans somewhere, right? Maybe old Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic or somewhere there. Which religious path is the most correct? Well, Witty, there is no correct. It depends who looks, right? If you look, this will be correct. If I look, maybe something else will be correct. And if somebody else looks, then something else will be correct. And, I always use that metaphor of all 8 billion people in the world walking on a white sheet of paper with no milestones or no marks or anything. And every single human walks in a slightly different direction. And every one of those believes that they walk in the right direction, and they're actually trying to convince other people to walk the way they walk, because this is the right direction. But the truth is, there is no right direction, right? It's always right for the people that believe in it. So as far as the religions, the correct religion is correct for the person who practices that religion, and it's incorrect for somebody who practices a different religion. Now, who is to decide what's correct? Well, I can come here and say, oh, in my opinion, this is correct. But this is not correct to do that. Because we have free will, and we decide whatever we believe works, right? It's not, we don't want to take somebody else's opinion and say, oh, that religion is better. The truth is, I'll take it to a higher level. The truth is that you don't need a religion, because a religion is like a retail store. So if you can buy wholesale, why would you go and buy retail? You can connect to God by yourself. Whichever way, everybody connects to God in a different way. So if you are seeking a religion, instead of looking for a religion, look for God and talk to God directly. You don't need a religion. Those are just middle people. They take a commission, and sometimes they don't deliver because they don't really have the ability to connect to God. They just try to convince you that they are, right? Is there a difference between truth and fact? Well, this is tricky too, because there is, I think, more than 1 million people, probably a few million people, few million people in the world who believe that the earth is flat, and to them it's a fact. So how do you argue that? You can bring other facts, but you cannot convince those people. I met one of them. You cannot convince them that the earth is not flat, and for them, like I say, it's fact. So what is a fact? It's not that simple. Everything is it's just like in quantum physics. Nothing is fixed. We can never tell like the whole picture where a particle is. We can only know parts of the picture. I would ask to live some years to look over and help my wife and daughter, as I am the last man alive in 2 families. Okay. Yeah. Well, you should ask. There is a very good chance that God will hear you. Hello, money magician. I hope your magic goes well and you make lots of money. The magician's way that you recommend to go deeper into. To be honest with you, I don't remember all the details, like I don't have the book in front of me. But I think the whole idea of the book is to look at things and see how to succeed rather how to come up with an excuse, right? Like when he's afraid to with a bike to cross that, to go by that river, or whatever it was, and she just goes and eventually follows. I think that what he's saying there mostly is to look at the target, at the goal, and don't look, here how to get ahead and build systems and networks and things to get to your goal. Just keep the goal in your focus and go there and move there. Don't look under your feet all the time. I'll give you an example, a metaphor for that book. It's something that happened to me. And at that time I was probably 11. But I remember that very well. I lived in a little village in Israel. No electricity. It was a really like... this place today, if you want to buy a lot there, you're looking at maybe $20 million. We bought the house there for $100. Anyway, this is back to 1960 or something like that. 1959. Anyway, what the story I want to tell you, those days very few people had cars. And one of my neighbors, which is like a really tough, big guy, he had a meeting, like a political meeting in his house, I guess, every month. And somebody actually arrived with a car. It was an old Citroen. And I, being 11, I had this, I loved mechanics and cars and I was this technical guy. So I had this key. And those days, the key in the car, he wasn't that sophisticated, like anything would turn it. So what I would do, when they were in the meeting, I would go into that car. It was unlocked, and I would put the key. And the key, if you turn it a little bit more, had the starter motor, right? But I would put it in gear, and I would turn the key, and the car would move forward, boom, and I would feel like I'm driving the car. I would do that, and then, I would run away. But one time I did it, and I guess the owner heard it, and they came out. And I started running into it was all orchards, orange orchards, and plowed, how do you say, fields. Like it was very rough, and it was total darkness. There was no moon or anything. And I ran into those fields through the orchards, and I ran really, really fast because these guys were behind me, and they would really beat me up. So I ran about 2 kilometers, I would say. I didn't see where I'm going. I was just running. And you know what? I never slipped or fell or anything. I just ran and everything was fine. But then when the chase stopped and I was going back, I didn't see where to go. And every step I took, every second step, I would fall down. So what does it mean? See, it means that when you trust your instincts, right, and you run because somebody is chasing you, and you don't look where you run, everything is fine. But when you start to hesitate and you look and you're afraid the next step you're going to hit some kind of a big rock or a big hole in the ground and you're going to trip, then all of a sudden you fall all the time. And I took that analogy in life. I realized that when you run like that and you don't look, then most of the time everything is fine. And this is one of the examples that he brings in the book, again, with that bicycle, when he goes on the bicycle and he starts to be afraid because he's looking and he's afraid he's going to fall and so on and so on. And the woman that was with him, she just rides and goes through. So this is something I would take from that book, that, just mark your target and move towards it. Don't worry about where you walk. Okay. Let's go back here. Good. That's good. That's. I think that works. When you write to them, because that's the only feedback, the real feedback they have. I mean, all these polls and public opinion that's one thing. This comes through companies, but this is the only direct input they have, and I'm sure that they appreciate it. I mean, they take into account when somebody personally writes to them, because when you write to them, they see it as a wider trend, not just you, right? Because if one person thinks like that, there's probably more. So you say that this is your question to God about which is the difference between truth and fact, or is it something you ask in the future? Here, let me see. Oh, okay. Okay. My 2 questions to God would be, do we really need to process emotions? Another question, how have I misunderstood you? Well, I think the second question you have to ask yourself, right? You cannot ask God how you misunderstood God. I don't think anybody understood God. Otherwise, we would be all happy. Yeah. We use the handles because YouTube is connected to other social accounts and email. It is for privacy protection. Okay. Yeah, no, I understand that. I wasn't criticizing it. I was just saying that there is many people here that I know from, talking to them through other media or other medium, but I don't always know who they are here unless I see the picture. There's no facts in a dual universe. Maybe you can expand. What do you mean by dual universe, Roger? What's my daily mental diet? Well, I think that my mental diet would be, I always try to think about the big picture. What is God? Why are we here? And I have my own answers to it. And the answers are such that it makes me want to be here and look forward to being able to create change and to teach other people, what life is all about. And when I think like that, I also believe that there is a big shift, big change in reality coming, and I believe in it. Not believe, I would say I know it. And that's part of my diet, because if I didn't think about it, I would probably lose any motivation. Like why would I have motivation to sit here and talk, for example? Or why would I have motivation for anything? Because, the older you get, the more things you already experienced, and it seems that there is less to experience, which is wrong, but this is what happens, right? And you have to find in your mental diet, like, as you call it, Manuela, you have to find the bigger things that will make you feel the same way you felt when you were a little girl, right? Like everything at that time was exciting. Whatever you did was exciting. And you looked forward. Like if you were told that tomorrow you are going to go to the zoo, then you would be super excited the whole day, and you would like wake up in the morning, jump out of bed and run and go to the zoo. But at a later age, it's very hard to find something like the zoo that will make you do that, right? So I find it through, like I said, philosophizing and looking and thinking about the bigger picture, because that's like the zoo for the 6-year-old girl, right? It's very exciting for me when I think about it. It's like I say, okay, what is this whole reality? What is this whole world? Wow, what are all these stars? I walk at night on the seawall and I look, wow, there's so many stars, and there's the universe. And this earth I'm walking on is actually rotating. Like I'm walking on this pavement, and the whole thing is rotating. And I look and say, wow, this is crazy. Like I'm in space that looks infinite on this big ball that's rotating. Like, then I'm more attached to the bigger picture, to all the interesting stuff that I don't understand. And this is the zoo again that I'm excited about. So I hope I explained myself. It's kind of hard. Okay, I'm still waiting to see what does it mean, dual universe. Omnist. There are no facts in a dual universe would be a fact. There is a reason why you call yourself witty, I guess, right? I can see also on the picture here that you can be very challenging. You have the ability to challenge people, and you do challenge people quite often. That would be your personality. Again, looking at this little thumbnail picture. Thank you, Oceana Mist. I thought always was Ocean Mist. It's the first time I see it as Oceana Mist. It's funny how we look on something and that's how we see it. Any magical reality Transsurfing advice so properly would sell fast? So a property would sell fast. Lower the price. There is always the obvious. You want to sell a property fast, lower the price. If you gave it away, I guarantee you that you would have a lineup, like, a kilometer long. Look, reality Transsurfing is reality Transsurfing, right? And there's no magic in it. It's all practical stuff. There's absolutely no magic. The only magic is that when he says the outer intention, that's the only magic in the whole of reality Transsurfing. So if you can understand outer intention, and I don't want to get into it here, I have many videos about it, and you can actually use outer intention, then your property will sell instantly. OJ, Moj, Koj. Well, maybe if you added another word to that name and called it Smoke J, you would stop smoking. Yeah, those are not easy. There is no easy solution. I know that. I mean, 1,000 people can tell you just stop smoking, right? just do it. But I realized that this doesn't work like that. Probably the best way to deal with it would be to find something that's very critical in your life or very desirable in your life, where smoking is actually becoming an obstacle for it. So, for example, if I wanted to marry a woman that I really love, and she would say, look, I cannot stand that smoke. I'm very sorry. I love you and everything is good, but it makes me sick. I'll probably stop smoking, right? So you have to find something where the smoking is actually causing you not being able to achieve it, something that you really want. And if you don't have such a thing, find it. Find something that you really, really want and desire, where the smoking stands in the way. So I'll give you another example, probably not practical, but if you wanted to run a marathon and that would become an obsession for you, you would stop smoking. Like, nobody can stop smoking if they have no reason for it, because the smoking is more enjoyable than the other reasons that you have. So you have to find something that's more attractive and enjoyable than smoking, for which smoking is an obstacle. So I would think that probably would do it, right? All right. I would rather not see this comment here. It's one of these things that is very important but not urgent. I think I showed you last time, maybe there is it's called the Eisenhower chart or table, where there's 4 quadrants in it, and there is important, more important, less important, urgent, and it shows that what is urgent usually is not important, and what's very important usually is not urgent, it's strategic. So this book thing is extremely important to me, but it's not urgent. I have always more urgent things to do, so it advances much slower than I would like to. But maybe it's for the better, because today, right now, I'll probably produce a much, much, much better book than I would have, say, a year ago. So there is that advantage, as long as I don't take it for a lifetime. So it will happen, It will happen, hopefully, sooner than later. I just don't want to put dates on it, because I did it in the past. Hey, Michael. Childlike curiosity, yeah. Well, you still have it. You still have it. And that's great. Yin and yang, yeah. He means that. Okay. When I'm done here, I'll go back to his question now that maybe we can get into it a little bit. Good. Danielle, do you have a phrase or thought that helps you remember and act as a creator in reality? And do you believe in commanding things into your existence? I believe, but it's not easy. It's not easy. I found that the way to command it into my existence is actually by action. So it's in this reality, which is an action type reality, it's easier and quicker, and actually works better if you act on it. So I try to do it that way. Phrase or thought that helps you remember and act as a creator in reality. Well, I'll tell you, in the past, I had some amazing things happen to me. And maybe everybody does, I don't know. But I actually made a list of all the amazing things that happened in my life, which seem to be not natural. That it's to me, it doesn't make sense that it's natural. And I go back there. I go back to those things, and it empowers me. It gives me that feeling that I'm special, that I'm infinite, I can achieve anything that I set up in my mind, and so on, by looking at those things that happened. I'll give an example. This is very personal. I don't ever talk about it, but I think that, I always tell people be vulnerable and show everything, not just try to impress people, right? Well, this is actually very impressive. So, in the Jewish faith, tradition, religion, whatever you call it, there is a thing. I don't have them here, otherwise I would actually show you. There is a thing that's called Tefilin. And what it is, in the Bible, God says that you should take what I'm telling you in the Torah, what I'm telling you, and you should wrap it around your hand and put it between your eyes. This is the interpretation. But it doesn't say what it is. It just says, take my commandments and the essence of what I'm saying to you here in the Torah, and put it between your eyes and wrap it around your arm. And the way Judaism interpreted that is there is this leather straps that one puts on their hand, and it has a kind of a little black box here that sits on this muscle and against the heart, and one black box that sits here again with a strap made of leather. And inside those boxes are those words that God says in the Torah. And, Jews, religious Jews, traditional Jews, actually put it on them every day and say a prayer, And I do that. I don't do it every day, I have to admit, but I do it. It empowers me. And those two boxes, once you wrap, there is a place to wrap the strap on the side, like around, and it becomes something like this size, two bundles that size, and then usually we put them in some kind of a bag. So one morning when I did it, before I put them in the bag, I put those two bundles on the desk. And when I put them on the desk, a green cloud, I can't describe it in any other way, like as if it was a green cloud of gas or whatever, call it, descended on those boxes, and they disappeared inside that green cloud. And I was looking and like, whoa. When things like this happen, you don't really, the shock you have after, not at that moment, right? At that moment, you just kind of look at it. And I looked at it, and then I decided to stick my hands in there and see what happens to my hands. Because the cloud was bigger than those two bundles. There was space there. So I pushed my hands into that cloud, and they disappeared. And at that point, I got so, I guess, not excited, but, I just got agitated or whatever. And at that point, the cloud disappeared. So something like that, I know many people will say it was your imagination, but it doesn't matter, right? Because everything is generated in your brain anyway, like everything that you see. Like I'm looking at the camera right now, and this is not really out there, the camera, it's in my head. I perceive it outside, but it's so some people may say, well, it happened in your head. But the effect on me, that happened maybe 3-4 years ago, the effect on me was such that whenever I am in a situation where I lose faith, lose belief, and I remember, let's say, that particular event, it brings me back to that reality, and I pull myself out of the dark. I call it like a hook. You have to have a hook out there that when you really go into depression and into the dark places, you can use that hook, grab it, and pull yourself out. Because if you don't have that hook, and all your hooks are in the darkness, then you cannot get out. So, that was a long answer to a short question, Danielle. But you always come up with good questions, so... Yeah, I see. Okay. I like that thing because it says that you should, things that are simple are true. And this is very simple and very true. I really, live my life by that. I don't believe anything that's complicated and sophisticated. And, that's why I also try to bring all my topics or whatever I talk about to simplify it. Because if you cannot simplify it, then it's not true. And this is what this Razor says, right? Thank you, Kaliko. Thank you. Well, my heart is not stronger or weaker. It's a funny thing because they diagnosed me with this severe valve problem, whatever, because of something else that happened. I was never aware of it. And for 2-3 months, I was afraid to move because I was afraid my heart is going to come out of my body or something. And then after a while, I decided, you know what, nothing really changed. I don't feel any different. And right now I'm waiting for some other test or whatever. So I just decided to be myself again, like it was before they told me that. Because in reality, nothing changed. Like I don't have any symptoms. So I went back and I'm going back on the mountain and I do my running and everything. And you know what? It is what it is. I will know probably in the next few weeks what the medical establishment wants to do about it, because the cardiologist back in July last year told me that this is like really important, urgent, that I need to have open heart surgery and all that stuff. But in the meantime, I'm here, and so we'll see. This is where you really have to believe in some kind of a God, right? Oh, comes Razzle, that's right. Okay. Thank you, Witty, for being here. And, you should join our focus group. The link is, if you are still here, the link is in at the bottom here at the description. I think you will have fun and you will bring some, fun for other people as well. Yeah, well, I don't know where I was. I was in my bedroom, but this is what happened. I remember discussing that. Yeah, I told you were the one of the only people I told this story. Yeah. All right. I really enjoyed you guys. Thank you for coming, and please come register to this focus group, because we're going to have Zoom discussions. Right now I think we do it every 2 weeks, but maybe if it's really exciting and everybody wants to do it every week, we'll do it every week. If not, we'll do it every month. But come and register. The link is here, and also look at the topics on the website, and so you can make some notes, and next Sunday you can take those topics and we can discuss anything you like. All right. So all the best. Have a great week. All the blessings I can give you. And hopefully I'll connect you to God so you can ask and receive what you're asking for. All the best.